Stories of people achieving unusual success despite all manner of handicaps nearly always capture our attention. The poor ghetto child who rises to fame and fortune. The boy with terribly burned legs who becomes a champion track star. The woman, blind and deaf from birth, who becomes one of the most inspirational figures of the century. What sets these people apart? The answer, if fully understood, will bring you and me anything and everything we truly want. And it's deceptively simple. It's having a goal to which we are fully committed. Our fourth stepping stone to the top of the pyramid. People with goals have a vision of exactly what they want to do, and that vision carries them over every obstacle. Once a person fully, intellectually, and emotionally understands the goals which are important to him or her, can become real in his or her life, well, it's like opening a jack-in-the-box. All sorts of interesting and exciting things begin to happen. Quite often we become truly alive and dedicated for the first time in our lives. To understand the importance of goal setting, we have to realize that it is the very basis of any success. It is, in fact, the very definition of success. The best definition of success I've ever found goes like this. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. Now, that's a beautiful definition of success. It means that anyone who's on course toward the fulfillment of a goal is successful now. Keep in mind that success does not lie in the achievement of a goal, although that's the way the world considers success. It lies in the journey toward the goal. We're at our best when we're climbing, thinking, planning, working, stretching ourselves. If you have a goal that you find worthy of you as a person, a goal that fills you with joy at the thought of it, believe me, you'll reach it. But as you draw near and see that the goal will soon be achieved, begin to think about the next goal you're going to set. That's the way it should be. One of my favorite poems is by the famous Calcutta poet Rabindranath Tagore. The poem goes, I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I woke and saw that life was duty. I acted, and behold, duty was joy. A goal is an individual thing, as individual as the person. Since no two people are exactly alike, it stands to reason no two of us will have exactly the same goals. One thing a goal must do, however, is to fill us with positive emotion when we think about it. It must be something we want very much to bring about. The more intensely we feel about a goal, the more assuredly the idea buried deep in our subconscious will direct us along the path to its fulfillment. If someone asks you to describe your goal right now, could you tell him? Is your goal clear and concise in your mind? Do you have it written down? If not, write it down. Thousands of successful people carry their goals written on a card in their wallets or purses. Here's another suggestion. Find a picture of your goal and stick it in the bathroom mirror. We need reminding. We need reinforcement. Now try this idea. Take a notepad and make a want list. Include all the things you'd like to have. A beautiful new home, a trip around the world, your own business, a better salary, everything you can think of that you would really like to come about in your life. Then when you've exhausted your wants, go over the list again and number the items according to their importance. Then make number one your present goal. One goal at a time. That's important. That's where most people unwittingly make a mistake. They don't concentrate on a single goal long enough to reach it before they're off on another track. So decide upon your goal, insist upon it. Look at your goal every morning on that card or that picture, every night, and as often during the day as you can. By doing so, you will insinuate your goal into your subconscious mind. See yourself as already having attained your goal. Do that every day without fail, and it will become a habit before you realize it. A habit that will take you from one success to another all of your life. Now sometimes all of this can be a little overwhelming. A goal sometimes seems so far off, and our progress often appears to be so painfully slow that we have a tendency to lose heart. Well, there's a way to beat this. It's been used effectively by many of the world's most accomplished people, and it's been advocated by many of the greatest thinkers. The advice is to live successfully one day at a time. From the time we wake up in the morning till we drop off to sleep at night, keeping our goal in mind as often as possible. Now each day consists of a series of tasks of all kinds, and the success of a day depends upon the successful completion of most of those tasks. It's not so much the number of things you do, but the quality of each separate action that counts. Gradually, you'll find yourself increasing the number of tasks and performing them all much more efficiently to get the habit of success. And that's why successful people go from one success to another, because it becomes a habit with them. To get the habit of success, you need only to succeed in the small tasks of each day. But how do we separate the important tasks from the unimportant ones? Did you ever hear of the single idea for which a man was paid $25,000? It was worth every cent of it. The story goes that the president of a steel company had granted an interview to an efficiency expert named Ivy Lee. The steel executive told Lee, "We know what we should be doing. Now, if you can show us a better way of doing it, well, I'll listen to you and pay you anything within reason you ask." Well, Lee then said that he could give him something in 20 minutes that would increase his efficiency by at least 50%. He then handed the executive a blank sheet of paper and said, "Write down on this paper the 6 most important things you have to do tomorrow." Well, the executive thought about it, and he did as requested. Took him about 3 minutes. Lee then said, "Now, number them in the order of their importance to you and to the company." Well, that took about 5 minutes. And then Lee said, "Now put the paper in your pocket. And the first thing tomorrow morning, take it out and look at item number 1. Don't look at the others, just number 1. And start working on it. And if you can, stay with it until it's completed. Then look on to number 2, the same way. Then number 3, and so on, until you have to quit for the day. Don't worry if you've only finished 1 or 2, the others can wait. If you can't finish them all by this method, you could not have finished them within the other method, and without some system, you'd probably take 10 times as long to finish them, and might not even have them in the order of their importance." Do this every working day, Lee went on. After you've convinced yourself of the value of this system, have your staff try it. Try it as long as you like, and then send me your check for whatever you think the idea is worth. The entire interview hadn't lasted more than a half hour. In a few weeks, the story has it, that the company president sent Lee a check for $25,000 with a letter saying the lesson was the most financially profitable he'd ever learned. And it was said 5 years later that this plan was largely responsible for turning what was then a little-known steel company into one of the biggest independent steel producers in the world. One idea. The idea of taking things one at a time. Now you try the $25,000 idea. For the next 7 days, do as follows. Write on a slip of paper the 6 most important things you have to do. Then number them in the order of their importance. And tomorrow morning, go to work on number 1 and stay with it until it's successfully completed. Then move to number 2 and so on. When you've finished with all 6, get another piece of paper and repeat the process. You'll be amazed and delighted at the order it brings into your life, and at the rate of speed with which you'll be able to accomplish the things that need doing in the order of importance. This simple but tremendously effective method will take all the confusion out of your life. You'll never find yourself running around in circles wondering what to do next. Believe me, the system works. It works every time. You know, life plays no favorites. If anyone can succeed, and millions do, so can you. Of one thing you can be sure. You will become what you think about. The principal law on which everything in the universe operates is the law of cause and effect. This law has been written thousands of times by the greatest minds the world has produced. For our purposes, this principle might best be put this way. Our rewards in life will always match our service. And this principle is the fifth stepping stone to the top of our pyramid of success. It's another way of saying, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. And it's been written in many ways in every language on earth. Sir Isaac Newton, in promulgating his laws of physics, put it this way: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. By saying our rewards in life will always match our service, you will almost always get general agreement. People will nod their heads and say, yes, that's certainly true. They will then go their ways and never realize, for the most part, how close they came to a truth so great and all-enveloping that their every thought and action is affected by it. I like to think of this law as a giant apothecary scale. One of the bowls is marked rewards, the other is marked service. Now, whatever we put into the bowl marked service, the world will match in the bowl marked rewards. How we think, work, talk, and conduct ourselves is what we put into the bowl marked service. And the extent and nature of our service will determine our rewards. If any person alive is unhappy with his rewards, he should examine his service. Action, reaction. What you put out will determine what you must get back in return. So simple, so basic, so true, and yet so misunderstood. If a business is not expanding to the quick and exciting tempo of the times, it must examine its contribution, its service. If a person is unhappy with his income, he must examine and reevaluate his service. We all seek rewards, and we should understand that rewards come in two forms, tangible and intangible. That is, rewards include the money we earn, the home we buy, the car we drive, the clothes we wear, but also includes our happiness, our peace of mind, our inner satisfaction, the people we meet and enjoy. But remember this: whatever it is you seek in the form of rewards, you must first earn in the form of service to others. All attempts to sidestep this law will end in failure, frustration, and, if maintained long enough, ultimate demoralization. Now, do you understand this law, fully understand it, intellectually and emotionally? If you do, you can chart a wonderful course through life. So let's assume you've determined what it is you want. Look objectively at the place in which you now find yourself and consider the distance separating you from your goal. and determine ways of increasing your service so you will build a bridge across it. This puts thinking and creative activity into living. It also assures us that our goals can be achieved by individual effort. All businesses, all organizations, from the smallest to the very largest, need leaders. All have committees, chains of command, but the overall company and each of its divisions needs strong and able leadership. Our sixth and final stepping stone in the pyramid of success. Contrary to popular belief, you do not raise morale in an organization. It filters down from the top. The attitudes of the people working in any organization reflect the attitudes of the leader. And there's always just one leader. The man or woman on the white horse. Wherever you find a successful going concern, whether it's a gas station, a Fortune 500 company, school club, PTA, or a well-organized home, you'll find behind its success an outstanding leader. Now, the best way for you to develop the security that lasts a lifetime is to become outstanding at one particular line of work. Hopefully, it's a line of work that you love. And look at it this way. Regardless of economic ups and downs, the industry of which that line of work is part will continue to operate. It won't shut down completely. And as long as you're in the top 5% of the people in that industry, you know you'll always be in demand. You'll be wanted and needed, not just where that industry is concerned, but where you and your family are concerned also. The man or woman who becomes truly outstanding at what he or she does has the world on a string. Here's the person with confidence and peace of mind. Here's the person who's quietly aware of his or her ability and has an intimate knowledge of his or her job in particular industry. Ask yourself this question. Am I such a person? Down deep inside, you know the answer. If you answered yes, you're among the most fortunate people in one of the smallest and most elite groups on earth. And if your answer was no, it can be turned into a yes in a surprisingly short time. The first step is to make one really big and important decision. It's a decision the great majority of people never make and suffer as a result. Failing to make this decision keeps a person from ever really getting on course or clarifying his or her goals. All a person needs to do is make certain that he or she is a vital part of the business or organization. Those who insist on remaining spare gear, those who do more than they must in order to sneak by, must expect to be cut loose when things get too rough for safety. Let's be frankly realistic. Who gets laid off work during an economic slump? Everyone not absolutely essential to the operation of the organization. You know, it's said that millions suffer today from a malady called panophobia. Panophobia means fear of everything. It's an uneasy feeling, a feeling of insecurity that generally manifests itself as a sort of lump of fear that settles right behind the belt buckle, especially on Sunday evenings and on Monday mornings. It's nothing you can identify. It's just anxiety, apprehension, a feeling of foreboding. And this extremely unpleasant condition is said to result from the unspoken but realized fact that we're getting credit for more than we're actually doing, or that we're doing less than we could be doing. It's the perfectly natural and normal understanding deep within each of us that there's something basically wrong about getting praise that's not earned, or, if you're an employee, being paid for something you're not doing as well as you possibly can. If we have panophobia, running does no good. We find it follows us on vacation and around the house on weekends. It's inside us, and no matter how fast the jet we board or how exciting the television program we're watching, soon we're aware of it again. There's a simple cure for this malady. It's to throw ourselves into activity, into our work. It's the decision to be worth more than we're being paid for. Leaders know this. A leader is a person who can help and lead others. A leader is any person who realizes the importance of becoming a bigger and better person with the passing of every day, week, and month. A leader takes the responsibility of his or her own growth. A leader is a planner, a thinker, a doer. Each of us can become such a leader in his or her own area of activity. It's not difficult, and in the long run it's easier than what at first appears to be the easier course. Simply fix your eye upon your goal. Visualize it with every ounce of your being, and courageously set out toward it. Maintain a cheerful, helpful attitude toward everyone. Why shouldn't you be cheerful, since you know you'll achieve everything you've set your heart upon? Become a kind of sponge for information which will help you on your way. You don't have to waste years making the mistakes others have made before. You'll be surprised at how quickly you'll reach your goal. But don't be impatient. Know and have faith that what should come to you will come to you in the right time. Everything in the world works on the side of the person who works with nature's laws. So there you have it, the 6 stepping stones to reach the top 5%. First is attitude, followed by integrity, then the mind, your goals, service and rewards, and leadership. Each is necessary, all are attainable, and I guarantee that if you faithfully follow all 6 steps, you too can make it to the top. This is Earl Nightingale, and thank you.